What's a business that can make millions? Turns out there are five, and only five key things that underpin a business that makes millions fast and consistently. Here they are. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing marvelous. I'm doing fantastic today. I'm doing fantastic. Now, if you're doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today, I want to talk about what's a business that can make millions of dollars. Number one, there are five things, right? And only five key things that underpin a business that makes millions. Number one, the owner loves making money, lots of money. You got to understand, to create $1 million business, your first and foremost passion should be making money. It is that simple. People are thinking, oh, well, there's some kind of artificial intelligence or some kind of craziness around making money. No, you have to enjoy making money. You have to love it. The same way some folks like going to the gym. Some folks like to eat guacamole or pizza or whatever it is. You got to love making money. Making money, in other words, concentrating on the numbers as in margins, lowering cost, maximizing profits, looking for customers, all of those things, this is a numbers game. So those should be your passions in any business. And it doesn't matter whether you are talented, you have some kind of natural talent, or you're coming from a good family. No, regardless of the business you're in, of the sector you're in, you gotta have a passion for making money, because without those being the primary focus, no matter what company you're in, no matter what sector you're in, you'll just wind up owning your job and not a profitable business. So there are five when it comes to passion for making money. We've done research here, and we've done a lot of research, a lot of reporting about the subject, and we realized that there are 5 D's. D as in David, 5 D's to think about and figure out whether you love money enough to run $1 million business. 5 D's. Number one, drive. You got to have the drive to make money. I'm not talking here about desire. Desire is it's just it's nice. Drive is aggressive. Drive is passion. Drive is energy. Desire is it's like motivation. Well, I'm motivated. Well, the next, tomorrow you might not be motivated. Tomorrow you might be like, oh, lethargic, trying to stay in bed and just play Nintendo, right? Or doing your nails. But drive is what wakes you up at 4 a.m. when you get up. And drive is that thing that keeps you going and going. So drive is the first D that will characterize whether or not you love making money. Second D is discipline. You gotta have military grade discipline. You have to have in your mind this sort of robotic approach to making money. The goals that you set, you have to be concentrated, you have to be focused on them and getting them done. Right? The whole thing about margins, lowering costs, cutting costs, maximizing profit, it might be a little unsexy, but that's what makes money. Jeff Bezos, the CEO and founder of Amazon, he is the richest man right now in the whole world. But he's just doing everyday stuff, taking care of shipping one thing from the other from point A to point B. But that's what makes the money. Nobody wants to address the unsexy things, but that's the thing that brings the money. So you got to have the discipline to focus on those things that are not as rosier or sexier. Number three, deadline. You have to have a military approach to deadline. You have to have a military approach to following instructions, to timeline, to getting things done by the deadline or before the deadline. So if you want to ship, say, if a customer orders stuff from you, and you have agreed to shipments within 30 days, you want to make sure that you ship the goods within 25 days. Right? You constantly want to exceed expectations. You constantly want to exceed your own deadlines. Not exceed. You want to deliver goods or services before the deadline. In other words, you are exceeding your own expectations. Number 4, Number four, the fourth D stands for deprivation. Now, deprivation has a synonym. It's called hunger. Being hungry. You want to eat. You can't be a millionaire. You can run a multi-million-dollar company if you're not hungry. You got to be hungry for something. You have to have the energy, the passion for something, and that's called deprivation. That's what makes you go to bed every night and you want to wake up at 3 in the morning, at 4 in the morning, and just keep going and going and going and going and going. Deprivation. A hungry man, a hungry woman is much more. Think about, don't take my words for it. Look in the jungle. When some animals can go to sleep and sleep for months. Think about bears, whatever. But when they're hungry, all their senses are back to normal. They just want to eat. You look at lions, they're looking for prey, but as soon as they've reached satiety, they're full, they just go and sleep. Same thing here for human beings. So you want to have the hunger. You want to have that commercial deprivation that makes you want to be number one and constantly make money. And the last D that you need to think about when it comes to making sure the owner of the business loves making money is determination. So when you set the number, when you want to reach that million, you are just following that million. You want to get it, you will get it. So drive, discipline, deadline, deprivation, and determination. I'll be right back right after this because I know you are looking for more. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're actually having a conversation today around what's a business that can make millions. And I'm giving you the 5 salient elements, the 5 salient factors, the critical factors that underpin a business that makes millions day in and day out. Number 2, in the first section, I talked to you about the fact that the owner loves making money, lots of money. Number 2, the company's profit margin is high. What is profit margin? Profit margin is the amount by which revenue from sales exceeds cost in a business, right? So the profit margin formula is net income divided by net sales. So net sales is gross sales minus discounts, returns, and allowances. Let me just give you an example very clearly. Let's say a company makes $10 million in annual sales, and the profit is 1 million. So the profit margin in this case is 10%. So 1 million divided by 10 million, that's 10%. Now, a company that can make millions should have a higher profit margin. I'm talking 30%, 40%, 50%. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about smaller amounts. I mean, 10% is pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. It's fantastic. But a company that consistently makes millions over and over and over must have a high profit margin. Now, why should you track your profit margins in the first place if you're an entrepreneur? Profit margins help you grow your business. So figuring out your margins can help you determine excess spending or underperforming products and practices for your business. So it's wonderful data to have on hand when evaluating how your business is growing and expanding. Analyzing profit margins also helps you flag and resolve issues. And one important thing is that it is required for financing, right? You might have a very compelling product, idea, or service that your business offers, but lenders are going to want to know where your margins stand before offering you a small business loan, right? Even if you're already making millions, if lenders don't know whether you're not profitable, they're not going to go ahead with the financing approach. Now, we've done a little bit of research here, and we realized that according to Inc.com, the magazine, in 2016, there were the 15 most profitable industries were ranked by net profit margin. So you had accounting, tax, and related services. They had 18.3% profit margin, followed by legal services, lessors of real estate, outpatient care centers, offices of real estate agents and brokers. And they all had more or less 15% or more in profit margins. And you have offices of other healthcare practitioners, dentists, specialized design services, automotive equipment rental and leasing, activities related to real estate. So you can see that the high profit margin sectors are usually the sectors where people are using what? They're not using goods, they're using their mind, they're using their expertise. We're talking about the sector of services. The tertiary sectors, that's what economists call tertiary sectors. On the other hand, the least profitable industries were industries that relied on raw materials, commodities. This could be in primary sector or secondary sector, right? The primary sector is agriculture, and the secondary sector is industry, manufacturing. So those have, and the reason why they are least profitable is because they have a high level of capital asset. Those are money intensive industries. They have to buy a lot of factories, they have to build factories, they have to buy long-term equipment, so that eats into their margins, right? I'm talking about oil and gas extraction, support activities for mining, beverage manufacturing, grocery and related product merchant wholesalers, grocery stores, automobile dealers. You can see one of the reasons why Amazon, for instance, is just making money over and over and over. They don't have the fixed cost, the real estates, the heavy fixed cost, the capital investment that those grocery stores have to make. So they are making more money. So a company that makes millions of dollars is a company whose profit margin is high. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. I have more for you. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still having a conversation here about a business that can make millions. If you love the clarity and quality of the content so far, please go and smash that like button and share this content so everybody can know what the 5 factors are that underpin a company that makes millions of dollars. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so, please, and turn on the notification bell so you are aware whenever we drop a new show. And we do this every single day, rain or shine, promised. Number 3, the entry barrier is high. A company that makes millions is a company that operates in an industry where the entry barrier is high. Let's talk about this. You never want to go into a business that is easy and affordable to start. No, you want to go into a business that is very complicated, that requires a high capital investment that most people cannot afford, and you want to be in an industry that very few people understand. In other words, it is an industry where you can become the expert or go-to supplier. This is important. If it's too easy, it's easily copied, it's easily replicable. You have no competitive edge. But if it is complicated, the more complicated, the better. Now, when we talk about entry barriers, what are we talking about here? There are 2 types of barriers. You have the natural barriers to entry, and you have the artificial barriers to entry. Those are also called structural barriers for the natural ones and strategic barriers to entry. When it comes to natural or structural barriers to entry, you have things like economies of scale. You have the network effect. You have high R&D expenses, so high R&D cost, research and development. You have high setup cost and the ownership of key resources or raw material, right? So if you have to be in an industry where you need specific raw materials or commodities to operate, and that raw material is owned by a country, only one country or one group of industry, one group of companies, that's what we call a natural barrier to entry. Besides the natural barriers to entry, you have artificial or strategic barriers to entry. So things like predatory pricing as well as an acquisition, limit pricing, advertising, right? Brand. Sometimes you need a strong brand to get into an industry because customers value the brand. You have brand loyalty, right? I'll give you an example right now. You want to get into an industry. You want to make devices such as tablets, mobile devices. A lot of folks have, and for good reason, strong brand loyalty to Apple. So for you to penetrate that industry right now, where you have Apple and Samsung really dominating the world, dominating the industry, it's going to be complicated. Of course, Google is trying to pierce it through the veil here, but right now it's only Samsung and Apple playing in that field. So when you have such a strong brand as Apple, it is very difficult for a newcomer, a newbie, a rookie to change things. It takes time. Other artificial barriers to entry includes contract, patents, and licenses. That's in intellectual property. You have loyalty schemes. So you have special schemes and services that help oligopolists retain customer loyalty and discourage new entrants who wish to gain market share. I'll explain what oligopoly means very quickly, very soon. All right. But before then, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still talking today about what's a business that can make millions. Let's focus on that. I've already given you 3 factors. And as I said, there are only 5 elements that underpin, and only 5 elements that underpin a business that can make millions, or even billions for that matter, over and over and over, consistently. Number 4, the business is not a passion. I hate to break this down to you guys, but listen, the whole thing about, to make money, you have to have a passion for the business business you're conducting. This is not true. This is not true. If you want to make money, you gotta want to make money. Don't follow your passion. I said it. Don't follow your passion. Passion-based businesses, I'm talking about bakeries, boutiques, craft shops, web stores, you name it. Those are good. Those can make you earn a living. Those can make you go to vacation once a year, give a Thanksgiving product or gift to your family, be comfortable. But those businesses, those passion-powered businesses, will never make you a millionaire. You have to go about the business in an almost robotic way, machine-like. I said it earlier. You gotta have a military-style discipline. After all, businesses that make millions focus on one thing: a numbers game. It's a numbers game. There's no emotion here. All right. So 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. 4 + 4 = 8, and so on and so forth, until the company reaches 1 million in sales, 10 million in sales, 100 million in sales, and 1 billion in sales. It's a numbers game, folks. You got to figure out what's your average sales price. You got to set a goal and learn how many units of your product or service you need to sell to reach your sales goal. Most important, you need to figure out how you're going to get those units. In other words, how are you going to find those customers and convince them to buy your products and to buy from you the number of units you need. Let me give you an example. Let's just break it down. Let's say you want to make $1 million in sales this year, and you sell your products for $10 a piece. That means you need to sell 100,000 units, right? 1 million divided by 10. You need to figure out how to sell those. Now, you need to think about how much you need to sell per week, per month, per quarter, per semester, to whom you should sell, when you should sell, what are their needs and wants. Your potential customers, what are their needs and wants? Who is your ideal customer? You need to figure out these things in an almost robotic manner, almost machine-like manner. Forget about the passion. Passion is cool. Like I said, passion is cool. You know, you feel good. You sip your rosé or your port on your porch on a Saturday night, just watching the stars. That's pretty good. That will earn you a living, but it will not make you a millionaire. It will not make your company a business that consistently makes millions of dollars. Let's go to point number 5. That's the last point. The business is in a monopoly or monopsony market structure, or in an oligopoly or oligopsony market structure. Now, I feel like I'm speaking some kind of foreign language here, but I'll just break it down for you. What is a monopsony? A monopsony is a market condition in which there is only one buyer, and that company is called the monopsonist. So monopsonists are common to areas where the supply most or all of the region's jobs. Let me give you an example. Take the technology engineering market. This is where you have some kind of collusion, where you have wage suppression, with only a few large tech companies in the market requiring engineers. Major players such as Cisco, Oracle, and SAP, the German company SAP, have been accused of conspiring on wages to minimize labor costs so that the major tech companies can generate higher profits. So this example illustrates a sort of oligopsony in which multiple companies are involved. So if you think about it, monopsony, you only have one person, you only have one buyer. One organization buying everything, buying labor, buying products, whatever. Oligopsony, it's fewer buyers. Duopsony is 2 buyers. I mean, I think this is these words have a Greek root, I believe. So oligo will mean a few, I believe. So the same thing applies for the same grammatical formation, if you will, applies to monopoly. So a monopoly refers to a market condition in which a company and its product offerings dominate a sector or industry. This is more common. People know about this more than monopsony. Monopolies can be considered an extreme result of free market capitalism in which there's an absence of power players. You have any restriction or restraints. A single company is able to become large enough to own nearly all of the market. I'm talking about goods, supplies, commodities, infrastructure, and asset for a particular type of product or service. Now, in today's world, we have no more. Except maybe North Korea, we don't have a communist state anymore. But this used to be back in the days, during the Cold War. You had monopoly. You had monopolies in communist countries. We even had them in the United States back in the days. I'm talking about a century ago. So we had them. So to come back to something more modern, we would say that Microsoft, for instance, Microsoft Corporation had a monopoly for many years. They had a monopoly on the software and operating systems that are used in computers, right? Think about it. The Windows has been around for decades. So this is really important. Now, antitrust laws and regulations were put in place to discourage monopolistic operations, thus protecting consumers, prohibiting practices that restrain trade, and ensuring that the marketplace remains open and competitive. So same thing here. Oligopoly means fewer sellers, right? You can think about utilities companies, for example. And duopoly means 2 sellers. Let us know in the comment section what you think about a monopoly or oligopoly or monopsony or oligopsony. Let us know your opinion about those things. And we also want to know, for instance, just kind of a recap here. I just want to say that today's conversation was about companies or a company that can make millions. And I told you there are 5 elements, only 5, that underpin a company that can make millions over and over and over. Number 1, the owner loves making money, lots of money. Number 2, the company's profit margin is high. Number 3, the entry barrier is high. Number 4, the business is not a passion. We're forgetting all this passion, the interest thing. No, we're in business here. And number 5, the business is in a monopoly or monopsony market structure, or oligopoly or oligopsony market structure. All right. I will see you next time. Thanks so much for listening to to today's conversation. Really appreciate it. And until next time, remember, stay marvelous.